You think standing alone is weakness? You think solitude is a curse? No. Standing alone in this world is the greatest test of your strength. Anyone can move with a crowd. Anyone can nod their head to the voices of the many. But when the noise dies down and the room goes silent, when the world strips away every friend, every supporter, every hand that once clapped for you, then it's just you, and that moment defines you. I know what it feels like to be abandoned. I know what it means to walk a path no one else wants to take. They whisper about you, they mock you, they call you foolish because you dare to walk alone. But hear me, there is power in solitude. There is a fire that can only be born when you are pressed against the cold wall of loneliness. When you realize no one is coming to save you, the world will not always understand your vision. Sometimes you will speak and they will not listen. Sometimes you will fight and no one will fight with you. And sometimes you will win and they will still refuse to clap. That's when you must decide, will you shrink back or will you rise taller than ever before? Standing alone forces you to discover who you truly are. Without the mask of the crowd, without the comfort of approval, without the easy security of belonging, you are forced to look into the mirror and ask, who am I when no one is watching? Who am I when the lights are gone? That answer is where true strength lives. I tell you this, lions do not travel in herds. The eagle does not soar in flocks. The strongest trees grow on the edge of cliffs where the winds are fiercest. And you must learn to breathe in that same storm. You must learn to walk through fire with no one but your own footsteps echoing behind you. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, it will break you down. But when the dust settles, you will rise unshakable. Because standing alone is not about isolation. It is about foundation. You become your own anchor. You build your own ground. And then when others finally see, when they finally understand, they will realize you were never weak. You were forging steel in silence. So let them talk, let them laugh, let them walk away. Stand alone if you must, but stand tall, because the world doesn't remember those who followed the crowd. It remembers those who dare to walk alone and carve their own path through the wilderness. And when your day comes, when the crowd that once mocked you now whispers your name in respect, remember that it wasn't their hands that built you. It was your own. You stood when no one else would. You believed when no one else dared. And that is the power of standing alone.
So you call me cold because I stand alone. You call me ruthless because I don't beg for company. You think I'm broken because I no longer care for their approval. No, you're wrong. I am not broken. I am awake. I learned long ago that loyalty fades. Crowds cheer until the spotlight shifts. Friends vanish when the weight becomes too heavy. Promises dissolve the moment they are tested. And so I stopped asking for hands to hold. I stopped waiting for someone to walk beside me. I became the storm that walks alone. Do you want to know what freedom really is? It isn't the applause of others. It isn't the safety of belonging. True freedom is when you no longer fear being alone. When you no longer need their love, their acceptance, their empty smiles. That's when you are untouchable. That's when you become dangerous. The world wants you obedient, chained to their approval, begging for a place in their circle. But I broke the circle. I burned the bridges. I carved my name into the stone with my own hands. And while they sleep, while they rot in the comfort of sameness, I walk in silence, sharpening myself against the edge of solitude. Do I sound harsh? Good. Because the truth is harsh. They will betray you. They will abandon you. They will watch you drown and call it fate. And when that happens, you'll remember my words. Standing alone is not weakness, it is survival. I do not crave their cheers anymore. I do not hunger for their touch. I walk this path with no chains, no ties, no illusions. And do you know what I discovered? Power, pure, unfiltered power. The kind that comes when you realize there is nothing left to lose. The kind that cannot be bought, cannot be bribed, cannot be tamed. They call me an outcast, a villain, an enemy to their fragile order. Let them. Labels are weapons of the weak. I do not need their words to define me. My scars define me. My silence defines me. My ability to rise alone, again and again, defines me. If you fear the dark, you'll never stand with me. If you fear being hated, you'll never endure what I've endured. But if you've tasted betrayal, if you've felt the sting of abandonment, if you've walked through nights where even your own shadow disappeared, then you know why I stand the way I do. This world is not kind. It will not reward the meek. It will not protect the loyal. It devours the weak and praises the strong. And the strongest of all are not the ones with armies at their back. They are the ones who can face the void with nothing, out themselves. So go ahead. Call me anti-hero. Call me monster. Call me whatever you need to make sense of what I am. But remember this when the world falls silent, when the lights go out, when the crowd abandons you, you'll wish you had the strength to stand as I do, alone, unbroken and forgiving.
They told me I couldn't do it. They told me I was too soft, too fragile, too dependent. They looked me in the eye and said, "You won't survive alone." And maybe for a moment, I believed them. Maybe for a moment, I reached for hands that weren't there, searched for voices that went silent. But I didn't crumble, I didn't fade, I didn't break. I stood alone. And standing alone is what made me unshakable. Let me tell you something the world doesn't want you to know. Solitude is not punishment, it's evolution. When the noise of the crowd is stripped away, when the easy comfort of approval disappears, what's left is a raw truth. You, your flaws, your hunger, your scars. And if you dare to face that truth, if you dare to embrace it instead of running from it, you will emerge stronger than anyone who hides in the safety of the herd. I am the leader of Evolv, not because I was chosen, not because I was handed a throne. I am the leader because I forged myself in fire. I carried the weight no one else wanted. I kept moving when every path was blocked. And I discovered that when you stop waiting for someone to carry you, you learn to carry yourself. That is power. That is freedom. Some of you still fear being alone. You cling to their opinions, their applause, their validation. But listen carefully. Those things are fragile, temporary, fleeting. What happens when they walk away? What happens when their love dries up? If you don't know who you are alone, then you don't know who you are at all. Yes, standing alone hurts. Yes, it feels like the world has turned its back on you. But that pain is a teacher. That silence is a forge. And when you rise from it, you will rise untouchable. They may call you arrogant. They may call you dangerous. Some will call you an anti-hero. Let them. Labels are for people too afraid to stand where you stand. Understand this. Solitude is not the end. It is the beginning. It is the ground from which legends grow. Evolv was born in that truth. We are not a movement of followers. We are a movement of leaders, men and women who refuse to wait for permission, who refuse to bow to the crowd. We are the ones who stood alone, and in doing so discovered we were never powerless. So if you are standing alone right now, don't collapse. Don't beg for the crowd to return. Embrace it, strengthen in it, because the day will come when they see you, when they recognize the fire you carry. And on that day, they won't ask if you stood alone. They will ask, how? And you will answer with nothing but the scars you turned into steel. This is Evolv. This is our creed. We do not fear the silence. We do not fear solitude. We stand, alone if we must, but unbreakable. And through that strength, we rise.